following program on Ada Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations.
Welcome to Business Best. Now, in a country where there is a lot of volatility, but also a lot of successful businesses, one might wonder exactly how these businesses thrive and who really leads these businesses. Now, Business Best is a program that we have created just to answer that question. We bring forward entrepreneurs and business leaders who have ensured that their businesses have been successful and sustainable through all turmoils that the country faces. Now, we have one such individual representing another company who has ensured that their business life is prolonged and that they have maintained their momentum throughout. So, join me in welcoming Mr. Vidu Wanniarachchi from Vidma Engineering Private Limited.
Hello,
and Mr. Vidu is the Director of Vidma Engineering Private Limited. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you so much for inviting me.
No worries at all. So, as we spoke earlier, you're quite a young entrepreneur, so it is my duty to ask you a bit about yourself. Who exactly is Vidu?
Yeah. Before starting the conversation, I'd like to show my heartfelt gratitude for Derana Media for giving this valuable opportunity for a vastly improving organization like us, because we local organizations, we need this kind of support. So thank you so much for giving this valuable opportunity, and then let's get into the question.
Definitely.
I'm Vidu Wanniarachchi. I'm currently the Director of Vidma Engineering and Trading Private Limited, and by a part, I'm a student of University of Colombo as well.
So that's a bit about yourself. What about your passions and drives?
Basically, I'm also passionate about doing businesses, and improving our business is the biggest.
Clearly evident.
Yeah, it's obvious. And then apart from that, I'm passionate about cricket as well. I do play.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. A bit of a business, a bit of a sports fan as well.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful combination to have, I must
Obviously.
say. Now let's get to the chase.
Sure.
Vidma Engineering Private Limited. You are a director over at a company at that point. Now, Vidma Engineering, as far as I'm concerned, is a family business that has come together, of course, with the help of your father as well. Let's talk about that. Where did Vidma Engineering come from, and what does Vidma Engineering do?
Let's get into the first question. Where did Vidma Engineering come from? So it's a inspirational story, I would say, with my engineering, and this happened way back in 2006. I was 4 years old. So this happened. My father is the one who started the business and the first generation entrepreneur. So basically, this story began when we were constructing our own home. So a roofing company, to do the contract of our roof, they came to us, and we handed over the contract to them. And then at that time, they completed the job. They completed the roof very well, and then they were communicating with my father about their financial issues and the current crisis in their company that they were going through. So they were asking for help from my father to give managerial advice. So then my father joined that company as a managerial advisor, especially for the finance items, finance sector. So then after, by running through, they contracted and they agreed to form a company which is called Vidma Engineering. So I don't know whether you believe or not. The company originally started only with 6 employees and with 3 partners with my father. Now it's proud to say that we have more than 100 employees with us.
That is actually quite a task. I mean, starting up with an inception in 2006 as a solution to a problem that has come forward to you. I believe the company was started. And you mentioned that your father went on to help with the finance side of things, and then this company came about to be. So I'm assuming that the both of you all are from finance background?
Me, not actually. I did science for A-levels, physical science. My father did commerce for A-levels, and then he graduated from University of Sri Jayawardhanapura as an accountant. So he's professionally qualified accountant. So later after he came to this industry.
I think it's quite a blend, don't you think?
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
of science, a bit of finance,
Obviously.
and of course now your business is onto engineering. It's quite a blend, and I feel like the mixture of all these industries, the mixture of all these streams is what makes your business successful. Now you also mentioned during our pre-program discussion that the name that you have for your business, which is Vidma Engineering, has a meaning to itself also. Can we talk about that? What is Vidma?
It's a nice story, actually, Savini. Vidma Engineering is a Sinhala language derived term, which is called, in Sinhala we call Vidma means Vidyava and Dahama. It's a combination of science and our own religion, Buddhism. So that's how we as an entity treat our customers, because especially the industry we are dealing with is especially a scientifically based industry. So putting that ethical sense into that, I think that's the meaning of Vidma Engineering, and that's vision is, I think, one of the main reasons which we have been succeeded throughout these 17 years of period.
So Vidma Engineering, a company that was formed by your father, and now you're part of it, a big part of it. You're a director over there. Now for a young entrepreneur such as yourself, you are a university student as well, you're from the science stream, you're quite young. Now ideally, a young person might think, okay, my father owns a business, he's a first generation entrepreneur, we're all sorted for, he's earning the bread and butter, why must I, put myself through a lot of hardships and then have to toughen up to rise up to the occasion, take the challenge while I can chill at home and do my studies and wait. But you have taken a completely different turn. Now, I often believe that first generation entrepreneurs, they put in a lot of hard work. That is a definitive thing. But second generation entrepreneurs like yourself, not only do you have big shoes to fill, but you also have to drive the business to an aspect that it was never driven before. You have to take it, a level up. It's your father's business. You have that pressure also to go with it. So my question to you is, as a person of this young nature, what inspired to take up that challenge? What really drove you to taking up that challenge, especially at your age while you're also balancing studies?
Yeah. So my father is someone who truly believes in education. And he really values the values of education and what we get through that. Like, it's not just a degree. Like, holding a degree is something which is really valuable. Not that just the degree, that exposure which gives, especially in local universities. So for me, who inspired me, definitely my father. You don't have to go that much far.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of hidden thing in our generation about the second generation entrepreneurs, that your father has created this much of big enterprise for you, and then you can just chill on your home. That's one of the biggest misinterpretations in our industry and in our world as well. So after creating this much of an opportunity for me, it's my responsibility for all the employees that who are working under my father. So I'm the one who's going to take care of them. So basically for me, the education and the knowledge which I pursue is the most important thing to carry on, and the most inspirational thing is my father's advices and all the stuff.
Definitely. Now, from your perspective as a director and as a young entrepreneur who has joined in on the business, how has Vidma Engineering sort of differentiated themselves from competitors?
So the first thing is the market here, especially we are incorporating with the zinc aluminium industry. So the market is diversified into two customer bases. The first category is the budgeted customers, which are the majority of the market, and then the customers who are willing to purchase more quality materials for their own goods. So basically, in Vidma Engineering, one of the main differences from our competitors is that we do cater for the both categories. In this market, the majority of the companies and our competitors are catering for only for the budgeted customer base. But here in Vidma Engineering, if you want quality products, you can come here and purchase them, and if your budget is limited and if you want budgeted products, then also you can come and purchase it. And the other thing is, we do not have a race with our customers. The only vision which my father empowers is that to improve our inner part of our organization. By that only, I think we are going to focus in the future as well.
I think that's what sets you all apart.
Yeah.
It says that you do have products to cater both the customer categories that you mentioned, both the budgeted and the quality driven ones. At the same time, it's not just about competing. It's about providing the best quality for all your customers, and that is how you sort of go ahead to sustain your business. And that is how I feel like Vidma Engineering goes. So plus you mentioned the mission, and then the start of Vidma itself is all about scientific and also having those moral values. Now with all of this coming through, a person might wonder, okay, Vidma Engineering provides a lot of solutions. Vidma Engineering also thinks about quality. If I'm to ask you about the portfolio of Vidma Engineering, how does it look?
We do have like the special thing is quality. When it comes to the quality of a product, the number one thing we focus is to provide the relevant quality for the customer. So there's a phrase which is told that the customer is your king. So without satisfying your customers' needs, I don't think we can succeed in the industry and we can sustain in the industry for a long time. So in Vidma Engineering, each and every inch that we produce is gone under huge monitoring process. So here in Vidma Engineering, the quality portfolio is like that.
All right. I feel like we have a lot more to discuss about Vidma Engineering, because it's quite rare that you find a business that also thinks about themselves. Obviously, it's a business, it's money driven, it's profit driven, but also thinks about the end product and how it is perceived by their consumers, how quality is driven, and what the end user really get and feel out of the product. So, of course, we have a lot more to speak on this, but we will have to go for a very short break. We are currently in conversation with Mr. Vidu, the Director of Vidma Engineering Private Limited. We'll be coming back after a short commercial break to go on with the discussion. This is Business Best. Welcome back to Business Best. We are currently in conversation with Mr. Vidu Wanniarachchi, Director, or rather the Director at Vidma Engineering Private Limited. Now Vidu, we spoke about the quality and the quality portfolio that Vidma Engineering Private Limited has. Now let's get down to what Vidma Engineering does actually. In terms of their services, their products, what can a consumer expect from your business?
The first thing that a consumer can expect from our business is that their price is worth that they pay for us. So the quality of our materials are highly supervised. So when it comes to the services that we provide, so basically we import the raw materials from countries like China and Korea, because we don't have the luxury here in Sri Lanka to have that quality materials and quality miles especially. So we do import them, and they according to your specifications and according to your needs, we can provide any rainwater goods, especially we are into the rainwater goods that we do cater.
Okay, so with that now, providing this, now you also mentioned that you import the raw materials required because we do not have the luxury of producing it within Sri Lanka. I'm pretty sure that the company and yourself would have had to go through all these years of turmoil that the entirety of the Sri Lankan economy faced. Starting off with COVID-19, we had that pandemic go on for a long time, and then more recently we were hit with economic crisis. It was one thing after the other, so many hurdles that a business had to jump through. How did you, your team, the leadership and Vidma Engineering Private Limited navigate through this?
Yeah, so the biggest challenge, because I have involved recently in the business, so the biggest challenge that we faced, that in my memory, was the 2022 economic crisis. The major issue which we faced was the import restrictions. Actually, this industry that we cater is mostly based on imports. So previously also I mentioned that we don't have the luxury here in Sri Lanka to purchase the good quality materials. So basically the import restrictions was a huge issue. And then without the raw materials we cannot produce our goods, and then the pressure from our customers, throughout those 2020 we had a 15-year-old loyal customer base. So the pressure to manage the pressure from the customer base, which is coming from the customer base, and to guarantee for the job securement of our employees as well. So it was a huge mess, and I haven't seen any such of a pressure situation in the entire 15 years of period in our journey. So our leadership, actually my father, has a vision to secure first our financial aspects and then move on to the other areas, because all of the businesses in Sri Lanka are going and running through loans. So to manage those financial risk is important. So I previously also I mentioned that having a good base, having a good knowledge base, especially the education, is the most important thing. So I think my father, his vision and everything was a part of his education and background. So to navigate through these problems, it was really hard, but the hard work, a lot of determination and the willpower has like helped him to navigate through these economic problems.
Now, navigating through problems and sustaining a business, like you mentioned, is quite a tough journey, but you have managed to do so. You also mentioned about running a business of this caliber. Not only do you think about the product or your business acumen as a whole, but you need to also think about your employees, because at the end of the day, the bread and butter that they have, the bread and butter they take home is all thanks to your business. Could I also ask you whether your business, is it labor intensive, is it capital intensive, where do you operate from?
Obviously it's labor intensive, because we do have the manufacturing of our products are done by laborers, and we do have a lot of machines as well, but the curves that those are a little bit of scientific, so the curves and every inch have to be monitored by a skilled labor as well. So what's your question?
The question is that, okay, so you mentioned that it was labor intensive with a bit of capital as well, and especially since you give a lot of priority for quality, I feel like the labor also plays a massive part in it. So that part of the question was answered, no worries at all, but I also needed to know, where are your factories, where do you all operate from, and for anyone who is interested, be it customers or investors, a bit about the background of the business operation.
So the operation is done through 3 main factories. So 2 are located in Maharagama and 1 is located in Verahara, near the Boralaskam Lake. So the production is done through those 3 factories, and the distribution of our products are done through 106 island-wide distributor range. So whenever you go in the entire Sri Lanka, you will find a Vidma board, and that's our distribution point.
All right. So for those of you who are curious, I think that is a bit of a background on Vidma Engineering. Now, we also need to know, definitely. Now, for a business of this caliber, who has been operating since 2006, almost 2 decades in the making, there has to have been a future plan that your father must have set at the incorporation itself. Okay, a decade from now, this is where Vidma Engineering will be. 2 decades from now, it will be. Now, I'm asking from you, as a director of Vidma Engineering, and of course as his son, as a young entrepreneur, in your own perspective, in your own opinion, what sort of a future do you see for Vidma Engineering?
Especially when it comes to that, previously also I mentioned we suffered a lot with the economic crisis of 2022. So as the phrase that in every dark cloud there's a silver line. So this economic crisis and the things which happened through that economic crisis actually opened the new gate for us. Actually it gave us the message to focus more on the export as well, because in a like a slump economy like Sri Lanka, so which is going through a lot of things, so we need to have an export sector as well. So now the future of Vidma Engineering is mostly based on, I think we are mostly planning to diversify the business into an export sector as well. So we have started way back in 2022 and now we are doing it as Vidma's foodstuff, and we are diversified into the food industry as well. So we do export coconut, tapioca and all of these red papayas, which has a Dubai market, and we do operate in Dubai market as well. So that's the future plan for Vidma Engineering, and basically we do not forget our mother company, which is Vidma Roofing. So when it comes to the future plans, mostly it's the export industry.
It's important, I feel like, for businesses and entrepreneurs to sort of branch out as well. You know, once you find what you want and then what you find the passion that drives your business, why not try something new? I mean, you have your roots, like you mentioned, you have your mother company. But if you have that passion and if you have a drive to venture into more entrepreneurships, to come up with more ventures, why not do that? And I feel like that is the example that you all have taken as well. You've gone from Vidma Roofing, which is your mother company, to other ancillary areas of trade, other ancillary areas of business to sort of widen your perspective, and the entire group is now called Vidma Engineering Private Limited. Now I'm coming back to you as a young entrepreneur, as a person who is in university, who is balancing both his studies, his business, his family-owned business, and who's also seeing the world of business in a different perspective. For a viewer at home who is just like yourself, who's inspired to be an entrepreneur, but might sort of have the question, oh my God, could I possibly be able to balance my studies and run a business at the same time? What sort of advice do you have as quite a young entrepreneur to anyone who might pose those questions?
The first thing is I'm honored and I'm lucky to be guided under my father's advices. But for a person who's planning to have a startup and who's planning to have a career in business, the first thing I would suggest is you must have a sound knowledge on the industries, and by persuading a sound knowledge in the industry that you are going to operate makes the sound basement for your career. So the first and most important thing is to have that sound kind of knowledge and in the business industry. So then after you have the basement, so you can build your future around that.
And if I'm to ask you now, you of course gave us a wonderful advice. You get the solid strength, you get your foundation, you solidify it through your education, your experience, and go on forward. If I'm to ask you about your personal experience now, you said you joined the company fairly recently.
Yeah,
2003, 2002, because the 2020,
yeah.
pardon. 22, where the turmoil was your very recent memory of a challenge that the company went through. Were there any challenges that you yourself faced, sort of navigating yourself through the businesses, balancing things? Have you had any experience?
Yeah, before going to that, I forgot something to mention. In this industry especially, we do lack skilled laborers. Yeah, so according to the recent researchers and all of this stuff, it's an open secret that majority of the skilled laborers have left the country. They have migrated into to their job security and for their future security, they have migrated. So here in Vidma Engineering, like for the entire organization, we do lack as an enterprise, we do lack skilled laborers as well. So now we're getting to your question as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So skilled labor, of course, skilled labour migration is a common problem that we have across all industries in Sri Lanka, but that is why we try to inspire a lot of our youth to remain in our country if they wish. And of course there are ventures and avenues that one could go ahead with. It is that they haven't found it yet. I feel like that's a lot of the reason as to why a lot of problems are being caused for the youth is that they haven't found what they're passionate for and thus try to find it elsewhere. Now, in your own sense as a young entrepreneur, you did give us solid advice on it, but have you, in your own personal experience sense of it, faced any sort of challenge trying to balance your life as an entrepreneur, as a student, as a university student? And if you have, how have you navigated yourself? Because I feel like talking from personal experience would definitely inspire anyone who's watching, who's in your shoes.
Yeah, so there are a lot of challenges when you have, especially when you are a university student. There are a lot of assignments and quizzes, and you have to go through all of these stuff. So balancing both are really hard. But the main and the most important thing is to have a fixed schedule. So to schedule your studies and to plan your business stuff, and that's the most important thing to balance those two aspects. So I have been through a lot of challenges in this short journey of myself. So the most important thing is to have a proper plan to balance those two aspects and whatever the aspects that you are dealing with. So and to have a proper advisory body. So especially for me, it's not that much far. It's my father who's my advisory body. So for you also, you must have someone to go through in your hard times to take advices. That's the most important thing.
All right, thank you so much for that advice. I think it was quite an inspirational session that we had and quite an insightful discussion as well. So thank you so much, Vidu, for joining in on our discussion and for coming in today for our program.
Thank you so much.
So we were in conversation with Mr. Vidu Wanniarachchi, the director at Vidma Engineering Private Limited, and we hope that you have been inspired by his words of wisdom and of course his journey as both a university student, a young entrepreneur, and as a director of a reputed company here in Sri Lanka. Now, in case you missed any of our previous episodes or you want to rewatch this particular episode, all you have to do is go on and head on to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/othertharenglish.lk, and all of our previous episodes and what are the programs that we have aired on our channel will be readily available for you. We'll meet up next time with yet another episode of Business Best to inspire, aspire and build in new entrepreneurship. See you next time.